If a council has put out any kind of strategy or policy, it normally means that they have some funding behind that. And if it's a policy that's about 10 years old, 10 years worth of work, they will be constantly looking to innovate during that strategy. They also need to have ways of showing that they are saying what they're writing. So they have to have ways of monitoring that and managing that. I mean, we have a tech that spans multiple departments between a parking department, between a highways department, public realm. And what we found that's been really helpful is actually getting a lot of those people in the same room. So, working with Jason, he'll come with potentially a highways person. And then from there, we'll start to gain more and more of the teams in. And I say that it's important to do that before you even get into the procurement, because some of those teams may be blockers if they are not fully aware of what you're selling and how it might impact their team. If you have a tech product, you will have to make sure that it goes through all the IT process, as everyone knows, the security elements. Lots of the different councils are now becoming stricter and stricter on security, but also wanting to integrate their tech that they bring in to other potential tech products that they have. So it's kind of key to go into some of those meetings going, how can we help? How can we integrate? How would this work for you as a different team? What would be positive for you? And also being honest that it's not necessarily always really easy. I think sometimes, especially when it comes to tech and integration, we talk about, oh yeah, we can do all of these wonderful things. There is an element where you have to make sure that the timeline incurs talking to another third party contractor potentially. And you have to be realistic with councils, because as soon as they have potentially got the idea, they're going to be going, okay, when can it be delivered? When can it be on street? When can we announce that to anyone who's going to be using it? They need a lead up. And one team that we might not necessarily think about is the marketing team. So if you're selling a product in that somehow is going to be linked to residents or visitors or businesses in a council's area, the marketing team is going to have to know what it is and be able to explain it in a very simple term. So you have to be sure that you're able to communicate that in how that would come out to the external world, and making sure they're aware on how to sell it from their point of view as a council. Once they bought your product or bought your project, then they will then want you to kind of help them with the marketing, help them explain it to lots of different stakeholders. But yeah, selling the future is tough. It's a lot easier if they've written it in a policy somewhere to say, yes, we believe this, and you can link it into that. It's also very important to find out whose pot of money it's coming out of. And that I would say is probably really important for sustainable budgeting. Some of the teams that will need to make this an operational cost that continues going on, they want to know now what happens in 3 years, 5 years, what's the maintenance cost, what potentially would be the uplift every year, so that they are clear that the maximum budget that they'll put to something is covered. And I'd say that was probably one of the biggest points, is we're not getting asked, what's the cost for a setup cost and 1 year cost? What is the continuous cost going forward? And being honest that it will rise if they want more and more from you.